Last week, NLEX X Way sent out emails to all of its customers and business partners here in North America, informing them that they were closing down their North American business operations. Now that caused a lot of concern from its current customers, and rightfully so, because not only were they shuttering their business operations, but they were going to be closing down their servers. And NLX's electric vehicle charging equipment requires those servers to be able to operate. So understandably, a lot of people were concerned about this. Now, I did a reactionary video to that last week. I put it out as soon as I heard the news, but at the time, we really didn't have much information about what was going to happen to these chargers. Were they just going to all shut off? Were they going to stop working? Were other companies going to be able to come in and somehow take over? And now that a few days have passed, I have a little bit more clarity on what's happening. And there are some companies that are going to be able to get some of the NLX waste charging equipment to work. And I'm bringing on a few of the people that work for, actually CEOs of two of the companies that are involved in this. First is Zak Lefevre. He is the CEO and co-founder of Chargelab. I also have Michael Bakunin, CEO and founder of Epic Charging, as well as Gleb Nikiforov, who's the founder and CEO of United Chargers. Now, all three gentlemen have agreed to come on State of Charge today and discuss this issue and also talk about what their companies are doing to provide relief to some of the ENEL X Way customers. Let's get into it. Okay, so I'm here with a couple of industry experts. I really appreciate them taking the time. Next to me, to my right, we have Zak Lefevre. He's a CEO and co-founder of Chargelab, which is a software company. They provide operating systems for EV chargers. Down on the bottom below me, we have Michael. I'm going to say this wrong now, Michael. We just went over this. Bakunin.
Sounds about
That's
right.
good?
Yeah,
All
works
right.
for me. Yep.
Works for him, which means I said it wrong. See, he's the CEO and co-founder of Epic Charging, which is also a software company. They develop software specializing for EV charging and EV fleet management. And below Zak, in the lower right-hand corner, the followers of this channel will see a familiar face. That's Gleb Nikiforov. He's the CEO and founder of United Chargers. We're going to have a discussion here today on ENEL X Way and the way that they're leaving North America by just basically sending out an email saying, hey guys, you know what? We're heading back to Italy. You have a few days to figure this out. We're going to shut off our servers. Sorry. Sucks if you own our equipment. We're not going to really help you very much continuing to use it. This has caused a major disruption in the industry, and my followers, many of my followers, own both commercial and residential charging equipment from ENEL X Way. And I've gotten inundated with emails from people saying, Tom, what do I do? I'm participating in a utility response program. Is it going to get shut off? I own a ENEL X Way DC fast charger. Is it going to be bricked? I have a home residential charger, like what's behind me on the wall here. Am I going to be able to use it? So really terrible job by ENEL X Way, the way they're exiting this market. I understand if you make a business decision to leave a specific market, but there's a right way to do it and there's a wrong way to do it. And it really seems like they did it the wrong way here, without any regard for their customers. They they rage quit. They grabbed their basketball and left the court. So these people that I have here today are going to help us try to figure out what we can do now that we are where we are, and they're actually working on solutions. So first we're going to go to Zak from Chargelab, and Zak's going to talk about what his company is doing to help ENEL X Way commercial customers. Zak, thanks for coming on here. I really appreciate it. And thank you for the email. The first day that this hit the news last week, Zak emailed me to say, look, Chargelab is working on this. We're going to try to figure out a way to get as many ENEL X Way customers back up and running. We probably can't save everyone, but we are working on this. So Zak, first tell us a little bit about what your company does and what you're doing as a response to this really terrible news.
Well, thanks, Tom. First of all, for putting together this panel and for all the work that you do to educate EV drivers and try to take these complex industry issues and really explain what it means to, folks all over the US and Canada who are just trying to get to work, trying to drive their EVs around. So a quick introduction, Chargelab, we make software for managing electric vehicle charging stations. So we don't build any hardware, but we partner with companies like United Chargers to connect chargers like the Grizzly to our backend. We work with dozens of different manufacturers, ABB, Eaton, Siemens, and we basically connect their EV chargers to our software for commercial operations. Now, with regards to NLx, I think the first thing to understand is in the North American market, NL X Way, I should say, is the branding. In the North American market, they had two different EV charging business lines. One was residential, which is something that Michael from Epic Charging is very strong in, and he could speak to more. And like you said, Tom, I'll focus on the commercial side of things. So on the commercial side of the house, NL X Way would sell level 2 and DC fast charging stations to businesses, including apartment buildings, condo buildings, office parks, municipalities, libraries, all of these different sites where you might want to charge your EV. When you install an electric vehicle charger at a public charging site, it's a little bit more complicated than your garage because these different sites, these apartment buildings, these office buildings, they will want to collect revenue from the EV drivers that are using their chargers. And so NLx Way had a software platform that was used to do this. And this is, in fact, what Chargelab's platform does. And Epic Charging does the same thing as well. So once an EV charger connects to our backend, we can accept a credit card payment from a user. And then we can tell the charger, okay, allow this user to start charging. In addition to the monetization on the commercial side, charging side of things, we also do overall kind of network operations. So if you have let's say you're a portfolio of office buildings or apartment buildings, and you have a dozen buildings across the city or in different cities, we provide one platform where you can monitor all your chargers and say, hey, that charger went down. Maybe that charger needs a repair. That charger needs maintenance. And then there's other kind of more complicated things that our software does with energy management. So we can actually take a building with a limited electrical capacity and allow them to install more EV chargers on that limited service. Now, all of these things that our software does is exactly the same as what the NLx Way commercial charging software was doing. And so every day you would have thousands of EV drivers all across the United States and Canada who would go into the office, who would scan a QR code on the NLx Way charger and would pay through NLx to charge. And that way that office building, that apartment building could collect fees. So what does it mean with NLx Way pulling out of the market? Well, it means that all of these businesses no longer have a way to manage their chargers. They no longer have a way to collect fees from EV drivers. And in the worst case scenario, you're going to have some energy management capabilities that are going to break. And so that means even if these buildings wanted to stop collecting fees and say make the chargers free, which is really not an ideal business model for buildings that have to pay for electricity, they might not be able to do that because if you have 80 chargers installed at a site that's relying on energy management, you really can't operate that site going forward without energy management. So one thing that we'll get into throughout this conversation is the difference between open standards and closed standards. And Chargelab, Epic Charging, and United Chargers, all three companies on the call today, are fully bought into something called the Open Charge Point Protocol, or OCPP. And this is a protocol that allows any EV charger to talk to any software backend. Now, the tricky thing with NLx Way is they had always kind of marketed their commercial chargers as being capable of OCPP. But what we found very shortly after the shutdown, and in fact, we were a little bit aware of it before the shutdown announcement, was that the majority of NLx Way chargers operating in the field, both residential and commercial, are actually not running OCPP. And so it's not as simple as just going out and reconfiguring it to point to another backend. To give a comparison and a contrast, if you look at truly OCPP hardware like Grizzly, like ABB, like Eaton, those chargers, if you go out into the field, you can reconfigure them and choose from over a dozen different software providers without any extra steps. But unfortunately, because the NLx Way chargers were not really truly using OCPP out in the field, we ended up in a scenario where the future of all these commercial chargers was very uncertain. Now, luckily, we have an excellent engineering team at Chargelab. Fundamentally, we're a technology company. The vast majority of people in our company are software engineers, and so that's our core competency. And we had already been testing NL EV charging hardware before the shutdown announcement. So when the announcement came, we really kicked into gear, and we did a bunch of evaluation, and we did find a way that if we go on site, or one of our install partners, service partners, or even our customers who are technically capable, if they go on site, there is a set of steps they can take to reconfigure their commercial NLx Way chargers and point them to Chargelab. It's probably the most complicated process we've seen if you look at all of the other OCPP chargers. For example, if you look at the charger behind Gleb right now, the Grizzly, you just kind of grow out to the field and it kind of takes 5 minutes and you reconfigure the charger. In the case of NLx Way, there's things that need to be done on the site. There's backend things that need to happen. But we were able to successfully migrate, and we are migrating commercial chargers to our backend. But the most important thing that I want to highlight, and why I don't think this is a problem solved yet, is the vast majority of NLx Way chargers sold in the United States were residential chargers. And the process we have to connect the chargers to our backend is too complicated to perform at residential sites. And so while we're really excited and really happy that we have been able to migrate dozens of NLx Way chargers across many different sites, and we're going to do hundreds more this week, hundreds or even 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 chargers that we may migrate this week is only a drop in the bucket of the total NLx Way chargers that were sold. When you're ready, Tom, I'd love to pass it over to Michael, and I think he can kind of elaborate more on okay, Chargelab has a solution for some commercial sites who can get out to their chargers this week and do the reconfiguration steps. But what's the path forward going to be on residential?
Right. Well, before I jump over to Michael, I have a question. Let's say it was an apartment building that had 10 NLx level 2 chargers, but there were commercial chargers. And that's one of the things that I want to make sure the listeners here understand. Commercial chargers aren't just, DC fast chargers. They're the regular level 2 chargers like what you see behind me, but they're configured to accept payment processes. And NLx, I believe, at least I don't have any statistics on this, probably has more commercial level 2 chargers in the market in North America than anybody except ChargePoint. ChargePoint dominates for level 2 chargers in this market. They've been doing it longer than anybody. But I know NLx, that was a big focus of their business plan. Even before NLx bought the company from eMotorworks, it was that, we can configure these to make them business, and people can put them in apartment complexes. They can share power, like what you talked about, Zach. So let's say there's an apartment building with 20 of them. You'd have to do this process to each one.
Yes, that's right. Every
it's a complicated process.
Reconfigured. Yes,
and
that's right.
So what we're talking about is a lot of work, on site to convert, an apartment building that has 10 or 15 of these units.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a lot of work, which is actually a great opportunity. I want to shout out, first of all the property managers who responded quickly to try to find a solution, but also the installers and the technicians and the electricians. A lot of the work in this industry is done by hardworking Americans and Canadians who are going out to these sites, pulling conduit, pulling cable, installing chargers. And so right now we have these partners all across America going out to reconfigure these chargers. And they've just been so phenomenal to work with so far. But I think what we're bumping up against very quickly here is this a scalable solution? And I would say that, for commercial customers who absolutely need to keep these chargers online, we have a solution with Chargelab today, with getting someone on site. But there are going to be configuration costs, right? There are going to be migration costs, for the more casual customers who are saying, hey, I don't have budget to really do all of this. Yeah, it takes between 15 to 30 minutes per charger on site. So even 20 chargers could take a whole day to do. If you have a site with 100 chargers, you're probably talking about multiple technicians being on site or doing it over the course of multiple days. And look, we're working on, scripts and automation and things like that could potentially speed it up. But I want to emphasize that, for the folks who really need to keep their commercial chargers online, Chargelab has a robust solution. But we were not expecting this from NLx. We did not have prior knowledge that they were going to pull out of the market in this way. And we would love to collaborate with the remaining NL X Way team, with their European parent company, with Epic Charging, with United Chargers, with anybody else in the industry to help find smoother and other ways to keep some of these chargers online. Because I know there's a lot of Juicebox residential customers who don't want to turn off their charger, or don't want to have their charger become a dumb charger in just 2 days' time.
So, I mean, going back to my thing about each charger individually needs to be configured, that's going to be expensive. You don't have the bandwidth to do it. So you would have to have trained electricians or people on site to do it. I just wonder if in some situations it would be more cost effective and a better long-term plan to just replace them with, like, to throw Gleb a bone here, Grizzly Ultimates, and they're not expensive units, to just say, what, rather than putting Band-Aids on it and figuring out a way to work, this might be the time for us to upgrade our equipment to new equipment or whatever. I don't know what the cost would be, but it's going to be pretty significant to have somebody come on site and spend all day there upgrading them. Okay, let's head over to Michael now. And Michael, first,
actually, sorry, Tom, if I can just comment on that. Sure. I think that's a great point, and I think people should hear this. I think all of the paths are open, right? You can reconfigure and upgrade your chargers. If they're older models, you might just want to rip and replace, or you can look at other migration. I just wanted to comment, just so people understand kind of the frustrations that people could have in the industry. We have commercial sites that just installed their NLx chargers and just got them online last week. So we're talking brand new, out of the box equipment. And, so those people might want to migrate. If there's people who have an older version of the juice box and the cables have gotten a little worn out and they've been outside in weather, yeah, I mean, it's a great time to potentially upgrade. There's more and more affordable smart chargers out there on the market every day.
Absolutely. Thanks for adding that. So, Michael, give us a little rundown about Epic Charging. What exactly do you guys do, and how are you going to help the NL X Way residential customers? State of Charge is powered by Qmerit. After I've helped you decide which electric vehicle charging equipment you're going to buy, follow the link in the description of my videos and let the EV charging installation professionals at Qmerit install it.
All right. First of all, Tom and Zach, thank you so much for opening this discussion. There are lots of nuances and details in there, but I will first introduce myself, Michael Bakunin, the CEO and co-founder of Epic Charging. Prior to launching the company, I actually spent almost a decade with Nissan exclusively working on electric vehicles since the early days of Nissan Leaf. That was back in 2012. Spent some time in Europe and the global headquarters in Japan, and then moved to the United States. We are a Silicon Valley-based company. And why it's important now is because we are actually across the street from NLx, and we have a few NLx employees working for Epic. So they left the company earlier, and one of them, Jenny Kirstein, for instance, was leading all utility programs. And now we probably understand better why we are involved in this process and why we are actually handling the what's so-called residential case, but I would rather call it a utility use case, which has both components. It has residential users and it has also commercial users. But what Zach has just said, when you're doing side by side 10 to 20, 60 to 50, and it's just it's a drop in the ocean, how we can migrate all the chargers. The good news is, I think it's not really official, but a few companies, including Chargelab and Epic Charging, have been working with NLx in the past few months to actually test the charging, test their equipment, test their firmware, do complete all the interoperability tests, and actually run the migration tests as well. So we were like one of the few companies together with Zak who actually did that work. We did all the homework, and we know for sure everything is working. So if you have your hardware, which has been installed like really like a week ago, a year ago, 2 years ago, think twice before, you know, going for a full rip and replace project. So what I'm trying to say here, essentially, there is a path forward. So obviously, you know, doing site visits is not sustainable. We are talking about, let's say, roughly 100,000 chargers across the United States and Canada. How are you going to do that? How are you going to, you know, go to households, apartment buildings, and do this work? So I can tell you there is a method. There is a method to migrate those chargers remotely. There is a method to onboard EV drivers. There is a method to actually work with utilities. And maybe for your listeners, you know, Tom, it's a little bit hard to explain, but essentially the residential market is a kind of a two-sided market. So when companies sell charging stations, they're making profit on the hardware. But there is also another part of this equation. When you have thousands of drivers using chargers at home, they're creating load. And utilities need to be aware of what's happening in the market. They need to collect data. They need to be able to remotely control charging, time of use tariffs, and all that stuff, and sometimes even incentivize those EV drivers. So for software solutions like ours, we actually implemented a very smooth migration process for EV drivers, like residential customers, people, who are watching this YouTube channel right now. So there is a process for that. And I actually, before we started this, interview, I actually shared a video, a 1-minute video. So it's an onboarding video for an EV driver. But there is also a huge chunk of work with utilities, how you aggregate all of that, how you provide all the right tools and capabilities to monitor the chargers and be able to actually use the settings to control time of use, amperage of the charger, and stuff like that. So I think we're honestly in a situation right now, and I know NLx is working hard. I mean, it's a huge organization, so it's like it's the size of a regular country. It's not just a company. It's really it's a global enterprise. But they're working very hard on actually coming up with the process to help us migrate the chargers. The unfortunate piece here is we were left with uncertainty for a week or so, and that created a lot of anxiety in the market. And and they are trying to fix that. So hopefully today or later this week, we're going to hear some updates from NLx, and we are really hopeful we'll have a very streamlined and detailed process on how we can make this work.
And I completely understand. You work with ENEL X Way. I mean, it's integral in making all this function. So I understand you wanting to point out that, hey, they're trying to do their best here, but you have to understand how most other people are going to look at it completely differently and say, oh yeah, that's great. Why didn't you do that first before you made this announcement? Why didn't you spend the last 3 months ironing out all this, then make this announcement and say, hey, look, it's not working out for us here in North America. We're leaving, but we're putting it in the good hands of Epic Charging, Chargelab, this company. This is the migration process. Go to our website and click on it. But, Michael, just to throw that bomb out and send an email to all these people and say, you know what, on the 11th of October, all that money you spent on your equipment, you just threw it in a fireplace and burned it because it's junk now. That's inexcusable. And I know you can't say that. And I know you have to, you're working with this company, and the people you're working with are probably as stressed as everybody else. They're working really hard. This decision came from up above. I'm not criticizing and yelling at the hard engineers that are working with both of your companies to try to figure out how to make this work. But top management, they're, it's inexcusable. A huge company like NL, as you said, NL, worldwide, global, is an enormous company. They're one of the largest utilities in all of Europe, right? Or the largest. They have revenues of like $4 billion a year profit. So for them to just do this to the North American market and leave all these little guys who invested their money on home charging equipment, on commercial chargers, DC fast chargers, to just throw this bomb at them, that's inexcusable. I'm sorry. I'm furious over this, and almost nothing they could do at this point will make it right for me. But they have to at least work with you guys to restore confidence in the market, because this is the electric vehicle adoption still in its infancy, and that's all we need is news stories like this to come out that make people say, I don't know if I'm going to go to get that electric car. You hear this? They can just turn off your chargers after you spent all that money on them. I don't want anybody having that control over my energy. So I'm not buying it. I'm sorry.
Tom,
I can't forgive them.
It's very, very hard to disagree with you. So I would personally have done it differently, but what's done is done. I think we are at the point right now when we are like in the middle of this situation, and I think what we are trying to do together with Zak and Gleb is just to see, how we can remedy the situation, how we can help the users, how we can help residential owners, commercial owners to recover. I think this is the mindset I personally have. And once again, very, very hard to disagree with you. So what you're saying makes sense.
And what you're saying makes sense too. We are where we are. We have to move on. We can't just cry about it. We can't just say, look at how terrible this is. And luckily there's smart, intelligent, driven people like you and Zak that are out there actively trying to get these things working for the customers. And I applaud you for it. And any help that I could offer is please reach out to me. Not that I can do much, but I can get the word out. And I'm going to give you both an opportunity at the end of this discussion here to tell the listeners where they can contact you, what next steps should be to get in touch with each one of your companies and so forth. But now let's pivot over to Gleb Nikiforov, CEO and founder of United Chargers. And Gleb was instrumental in helping putting together this discussion panel. So I definitely wanted Gleb in on this. While Gleb doesn't develop the back-end software like Epic Charging and Chargelab does as far as this migration, Gleb has very strong opinions on this topic. He sells and manufactures high-quality electric vehicle charging equipment, and he's an outspoken proponent of OCPP compatibility. So I wanted to have Gleb come in and talk a little bit about his thoughts on why we're here and what we need to do moving forward as an industry so this doesn't happen, because we don't really know what's the next domino. We mentioned this on the last interview. What if a huge company like ChargePoint did this to us? I mean, how many tens of thousands of chargers do they have out there? It would make the ENEL X Way problem look minuscule. Gleb, let's first of all tell us a little bit about United Chargers, what you do there, and then give us your thoughts on how we can move on from this problem so it doesn't continue to happen.
Thank you very much, Tom, and thank you very much, Zak and Michael, for joining. Yes, I was trying to organize this because I'm very much worried about the consumer confidence in this case and how we can restore it. But what I know right now is that we have brilliant companies like Chargelab and Epic and others who will, in any situation, will find a way how to remedy the situation. I know that Zak people particularly spend 48 hours debugging and breaking the code of the charger, and they found a way how to enter it from the back door. I know that Michael and his team has been diligently working with NL and working on the solution how to migrate all the customers. So I know for sure whatever gonna happen, we will be able to remedy it. It's just gonna be like an aftermath. Will be worse, but it's gonna slide down over time. What we can learn from this situation, that's most important going forward. Okay, we got it, and hopefully with me and Tom being very instrumental about this, maybe that brought attention of NLx and they actually started to do more towards remedying the situation. I hope so. I hope that we help somehow. But what we can do going forward, and that's a very important. As I said, the North American market is proprietary software. A lot of companies claim, and I don't know if they're right or wrong, NLx was claiming that they're OCPP compliant as well. Other companies claim they're OCPP compliant, but how we can see it? United Chargers, we make Grizzly charging stations, and OCPP is a native language our charging stations talk in. And by the way, those two brilliant companies, Chargelab and Epic, they are fully integrated with our hardware, and we can switch to from one to another in a matter of basically 25-30 seconds, and run on the different backend. And that's what we really want. We want interoperable hardware that will make the market way more fair. That will make consumer confidence there. So if I buy hardware, I can connect it to many different backend companies, and there will be hundreds of them going forward. This market will grow, and companies like Chargelab and Epic will compete for the customer, providing better service, providing cheaper service, providing more features. They may be niche into some niches and get there where the customers need them the most. The EV charging market is huge. There's space for everyone, and collaborating, and I enjoy and I love seeing the collaboration of two competing companies like this. You don't know what's going on in the background, but these are two competing companies. They came together, they talk to each other, they talk to us, and they provide solutions. They provide solutions for the customers. That's most important. So what I don't want to take much of your time, but I want, if you buy in a charging station, make sure that on manufacturer website, it shows how to connect this charging station to a third-party OCPP. Don't just trust anything they say, even if they show you some sort of certificate from a company which certify them the OCPP. There is a lot of the details, like devil in the details. There's a lot of things how they're OCPP. The only way we want to know how they're OCPP is when you go to the unit with your phone, connect to the unit, and do the change on the unit to a different server, not through any other software, not through anything else, on the actual unit. Only this way we can quickly, without any hassle, reconnect all the chargers to a different backend. Again, about ChargePoint, Flow, and others. They claim the OCPP. We don't know now. We kind of trust them, they are, but we want to make sure they are. So I would, again, I dare them to publish if they are, to publish on their website how to do it from their hardware. And if they do it and show it, perfectly fine. Amazing. We are safe. If they cannot do it within the next couple of weeks, then I would say, we are in trouble.
And you have it published on your website how to do it, correct?
Yes.
Another question. Europe operates that way, right? Aren't the chargers in Europe, they're required to be able to switch over from the unit itself? Why don't we require that here?
So this was the reason why we are different from Europe, is because our market started differently. Our market started with Obama grants, which have been given to two companies, Blink and ChargePoint, $50 and $100 million for free to start EV charging industry. And I believe Blink got $100 million and ChargePoint got $50 million. So they built their charging stations proprietary. And then everybody else who were trying to copy them and build the same proprietary software to play chicken and hen, as I say, they want to keep their customers under their wings and not let them go anywhere. Like, remember, we had cell phones, which were when you change cell phone provider, you lose your number, right? So right now, your number is portable. Same should be your hardware. Your hardware should be portable. In Europe, the market started differently. The market started with a regulation, which actually have a 3-level structure. They have an independent hub, which monitors and controls all the payment and all the solutions. Then there are different aggregator providers like Chargelab, Epic, and other companies, which are compliant with this hub system, And then there are hardware companies which integrate into all these products. So it's a 3-level structure where everybody is independent. So it's very flexible. It gives a huge opportunities for growth and for different combinations of different charging equipment and software cases. Where in Canada, United States, if you buy ChargePoint, that's the app you got. That's it. So you can do only this, nothing else. You want to do something else? Well, we cannot do it. That doesn't work. So now I am announcing as well that Grizzly Ultimate is fully compatible right now with Epic and Chargelab software. We are changing our website within next couple of weeks. We are removing Grizzly Smart from the commercial market, and we're replacing it with a Grizzly Ultimate. It's a new 7.0, in our case, generation of hardware, which is, well, I would say brilliant, but very good. and that has an external antenna, and it has all kind of capabilities which companies will need to work with software like Chargelab and Epic to connect their chargers and do all kind of commercial activities. So within the next couple of weeks, we're going to relaunch our commercial website and have those options available for the customers. And you know, we are trying to make this market as affordable as possible, and that's the goal of our company. And I hope we will be able to make a feasible ROI out of these stations, like return on investment. That's very important. That's what should drive the market going forward, when people will invest money, actually get paid for providing charging services.
And thanks, Hub. And I like the point that you brought up about the regulation in Europe, that they're required to do that. Everybody hates regulation until the lack of it hurts you. You know?
Yeah.
So, you know, and in this case, you know, the lax regulation monitoring OCPP compliance is allowing this. Maybe we're going to get some, you know, movers and shakers and politicians to watch this video and say, hey, wait a minute, why are we doing things this way? This is hurting the consumer. And hopefully that'll be a louder voice than the lobbyists from the big charging companies that, you know, want to keep things proprietary. And as you say, Gleb, keep the chickens
yeah, this is collaborate market. Look at those two beautiful companies collaborating together to save the customers of NLx. This is amazing what we see. I love it. That's the future, the collaboration. No, not proprietary. Proprietary is no good.
All right. Well, listen, I want to jump back to Zak now and ask you if any final words, Zak, on you know, this discussion. And I'd also like you to also tell the followers, the viewers, how they can reach out to you, how they can you know, find out information to migrate their commercial equipment to Chargelab.
Absolutely. So everything about Chargelab, both related to the migration and just our company in general, is at chargelab.co. That's chargelab.co. I think the first thing I would add to this broader conversation about interoperability is on our website, we list all of the chargers that we have fully integrated and tested. We have a lab where we bring in the hardware, and we also work with partners to remotely test their chargers at their facilities. And so one source where you can tell if a charger is truly open and interoperable is actually from our website. Go find our list of EV chargers, and that tells you kind of what solutions are actually open and interoperable. I do want to double down on what Gleb said, that there are other solutions deployed in the North American market that are entirely dependent on the manufacturer's proprietary servers, even if they may allow some, you know, the odd OCPP connection in other ways. So we do have work to do as an industry, but I'm proud to say that we're fully open. Epic Charging is open. United Chargers is open. You know, our big hardware partners, Wallbox Chargers, Eaton, ABB are all open, but not everyone is, and so please be cautious of that. Now, I think with regards to the migration, so again, if you are a commercial site, including apartment buildings, office buildings, fleet depots, and you need to keep these chargers online after October 11th, we can migrate your chargers this week. Thanks to the really hard work of our team, we've come up with a process to work through this backlog as quickly as possible. And then the other thing I would say is there's a lot of kind of advocacy and contacts going to the ENEL X Way global group and other people involved here. So we do hope that the migration window will extend and that there will be options for people next week and even next month. But right now, all we have is the announcement that we got last week, which is that the servers will turn off on October 11th. We really hope to get an update on that soon. But if you absolutely need to keep your chargers online, chargelab.co, contact our team, and we'll get you migrated. But otherwise, let's all kind of keep making noise. And Tom, I totally feel your frustration as an EV driver. This stuff kind of makes me red in the face. But as an industry advocate here, I'm trying to build some positivity and say, look, these chargers have not been turned off yet. There is a path forward where we can extend the window. And so let's just kind of keep making noise in a positive way of, hey, can we give both businesses and consumers more flexibility going forward?
Yeah, and yeah, they haven't been turned off yet, but they announced, when did they send the email out? Like
it was last Wednesday, so it was seven days ago today.
Yeah, so the 2nd of October, and they said they're shutting them down the 11th. I mean, 9 days. That's just insane. They needed to give us at least a couple of months. So hopefully NL will see that they can't just shut down the servers this quickly. It's unconscionable to just turn it off with only giving people that much notice. Michael, why don't we jump over to you now and give us your final thoughts, and how can people reach out to Epic Charging to see if you can help them out?
Yeah, first of all, Tom and Zach, I personally believe they're going to extend the deadline. So it's October 11th now, but we definitely need a couple of months to finalize all of that. So I'm really looking forward to hearing any updates from NLx on that front, because the clock is ticking, so we just have a few hours left. But that said, so this week has been crazy for all of us joining this call. We worked around the clock, including the weekends. We spoke to mostly aggregators and utilities, representing roughly 20% of the ENEL charger population. So we are aligned. We have verbal and commitments in writing as well to move forward whenever ENEL is ready and can suggest the right process for the migration. And we will continue working with utilities and aggregators, as well as commercial sites to help them migrate. So if you want to contact Epic Charging, you want to have a discussion, it's sales@epicharging.com or any other form you can find, online form on our website. We will respond. We are very fast, very responsive, same as Chargelab. So you'll hear from us almost right away. The only thing I need to say, because maybe there is an impression we will be working with every single individual and residential charger owner to help them migrate. At this point of time, I don't know how to make this work. I will be very honest with you. So if we go from the utility level and they aggregate users, and and then we can actually migrate them in big batches, then it's doable. If we need to contact 100,000 individuals and ask them to fill up this form, send this and do that, I think it's going to be a nightmare. So I would say if you are a residential user, maybe you want to check with your utility how they want to move forward. But if you are a utility, a commercial organization running a fleet of commercial chargers, level 2 and level 3, it's sales@epicharging.com. We'll get back to you. We'll help you.
So Michael, let me ask you this question. Let's say NL were to do the right thing and try to spend some more time working on this. It sounds like you can't help. Really, it's not feasible for you to help the individual juice box owner. There's one behind, well, there's two, but I have one juice box in my garage, and I don't want to have to buy another charger. It sounds like it would be a Herculean task for you to be able to upgrade all these chargers. Would there be a way that ENEL X Way could do that before they shut down? Could they remotely change something in the back end that allows a much easier transition to another software provider?
Well, hypothetically, the answer is yes, but it's all money and time. So I think this is what it means. But hypothetically, I think it's possible. Yeah.
Yeah, because the individual, sounds like what you're saying is the individual owner, really, there's no feasible path forward. Like someone owns one, they're not involved in a utility demand program, so there's not a utility involved. I just bought this because it looked like a good charger. Tom recommended it on his reviews. I used to recommend the NLx juice box for many years. I stopped recommending about 2 years ago because I had noticed the quality had gotten worse, and the app, they kept updating the app and it kept getting worse and worse. And my followers were telling me it's unusable. So I just stopped recommending it. But for years, back from when it was eMotorworks, I used to recommend it. It was always in my top 5 chargers. But so the individual user, there's not a lot that's going to be able to happen for that guy right now.
Well, good question, Tom. I don't have a solution for independent individual users who are not related to any utility program, didn't purchase the charger for the utility or an aggregator or any large reseller. But I'm not saying it's impossible. I think my intention is to work with NLx and make sure we can capture as many users as we can. And again, it's time and money. So those are two parameters we need to work on and see how this is going to happen. So technically, they should be a path forward.
Yeah. And to be clear, these chargers will still work. They're just not smart chargers. It's not like you can't charge your electric vehicle. But if you bought a smart charger, chances are you want to use smart charging features, scheduled charging, load balancing. Like there's a bunch of things that you can do with a smart charger, reviewing all your past charging records so you can see how much energy you're using. Remotely start and stop a charging session. But if you really don't need that stuff, maybe you just bought it just for fun to look at your app and do everything, you can still just come home in your garage, plug your car in, and the thing will start charging. It'll start charging immediately. You can't set delayed charging or whatever, but most electric vehicles allow you to set a schedule if you're on a time to use plan. So you might still be fine with your dumb juice box. Moving forward, you might not need all of those the bells and whistles that came with it. But that's not the point here. You paid for a product that had certain features, and now you don't have them, and that's wrong. So hopefully, under market pressure and so forth, NL will say, you know what? It's going to cost us millions of dollars, but let's figure out a way so we're not orphaning all these customers that put their faith in our product and put down their hard-earned money and board our product. So we'll do the right thing. So far from what they put out, there's no indication they're going to do that. Maybe under pressure they will, and we'll see. And now we'll hand it over to Gleb. Gleb, final thoughts.
Well, yes, Tom, absolutely. Well, thank you very much, everyone. We are, as you can see, industry is working really hard to mitigate this situation. Going forward, I'm positive that NL absolutely must extend the server time until the last, and every customer who would send, I believe they opened some kind of website where you can send a petition or something, like a claim or something. I suggest all the juice box owners who own a juice box to send such a claim to NLx so they can see how many people are there in need of being moved to a proper software, and they will extend the period of time as long as it required for every customer who wants to be moved to be moved. And I know these brilliant people like Zak and like Michael and other guys in the industry who are not here with us today, they will make a huge effort towards helping these people and moving them to their software so they can have and enjoy the features they supposed to be coming with their chargers.
Okay, well, that's going to put a bow tie on it. Gentlemen, thank you for coming on here today. This was very informative and very helpful, I think, for a lot of people. Thanks for your time on getting together on short notice, and thanks for all your hard work to try to help out the people that are kind of being left behind by ENEL X Way. And, one last time, if you're listening to this ENEL X Way, I'm sure at some point, some people that work in the company are going to watch this. You got to do the right thing. It's just not right to orphan all these people that put their their faith in your company, bought your products, and said, this is the one that I want to get, because there's so many options out there, and they put their faith in your product and your company. You can't abandon them like this.
And
Gentlemen, thanks
they have
again for
money
coming.
to do it. They have money to do it.
Of course they do. NL's an enormous company with billions in profits. So, do the right thing and set these people up. Don't just leave them hanging dry. And with that, gentlemen, thank you very much, and good luck in your endeavors.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, Tom. Have a great day. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.